sports lovers, it's me once again, the Pali Rose, and with me, as always, I have Mark Sally on my left and Mark Namanya holding it down on the Mark to Mark Sports conversation. And you know how we do it, right? Real banter. We bring all the gossip from the world of sports as always. So let's get into it. First of all, we want to take a look at our boys, the Cranes. It was a tough night in Algeria yesterday, and I watched like 80% of the game, by the way. And you guys, to be honest, those two penalties, even the VAR would have cried, by the way. But still, we showed fight, okay? And even the African refereeing, by the way, I know it needs some a bit of help. But that aside, I want to know, where are we going? Where do we go from here? Number one. And also, was that officiating when it came to the penalties as bad as it looked, or is it just me being emotional like the fans themselves, the fans? So I need to understand clearly what happened.
I think Cranes were hard done. I thought they played very well, took the lead very early through Stephen Desemukwala, whose wonderful performances for the team have been missing a goal. And I was happy that he was on the score sheet. I think that goal has been a long time coming. I thought we matched them, and as much as Algeria didn't play their strongest outfit because they already qualified,
Yes.
we did the business we had to do against the team Algeria fielded. And I thought that Nigeria didn't look like they would score a goal up until they got the most ridiculous penalty decision you'll ever see. That was never a penalty. It was not even half a
for the equalizer.
for the equalizer. It was never a pen mark. There was no contact of note for involving Aziz Kayon and the Algerian, who made it seem like he had been taken down by an anti-aircraft missile, yes.
Like it had been Paul.
So obviously, I thought Algeria got some home team decisions, and the penalties were, the first one was a very fantastic penalty. I don't think any goalkeeper in the world would have saved it. The power, the placement, the precision, it was special, but the decision should never have been a penalty.
Yeah.
And for the second mark, while I acknowledge that Salim Jamal made the foul, I think the Algerian player was offside. The Algerian. It's because there's no VAR.
Yeah, there's
But
no VAR
I thought
to review.
the Algerian player was, had there been VAR, they would have blown for a free kick to Uganda and on review.
On review, yes.
And another penalty.
Another penalty.
I thought that was a Stonewall penalty.
Stonewall, I still contested that one as well, Mark,
Yeah.
myself. I know that everybody says Salim went through the guy,
Yeah.
which he did,
Yeah.
but I thought momentum carried him because he parried the ball. Back in the day, in my times,
Yeah.
goalkeepers used to be protected in
Yes,
their area.
yes.
These days, the rules are against
The
Yeah.
them.
rules are against them. But
They have to step
I
in
mean, I'm calling it
themselves.
Stonewall in comparison to the first one.
To the first one, yeah,
because the
yeah.
first one it's not even a penalty. It's just some idiotic decision, and that is putting it mildly. So I think overall, Mark, I've been impressed with the Cranes because we've had such a strong finish in these qualifiers.
Yes.
We've won how many? We've won 3 games or 4 in a row without conceding.
Yeah, that was 4 in a row. actually.
Yeah. So even yesterday, I mean, we've kept clean sheets.
Just a good
We
game.
conceded 2 goals from penalties.
No, we had
But I
won
thought-
3 actually before
Yeah,
that.
we won 3 without conceding.
Mozambique, Somalia, and
And
the one
Botswana,
against Botswana,
away
yeah.
from home.
Yeah.
And the biggest victory being away from home against Botswana, away from home. We've defended very well all through in this campaign. I thought we started off very poorly because we lost to Guinea in stoppage time. That was some very reckless goalkeeping, I think, which put play to our chances. And then we should never. I mean, we could have beaten Algeria here.
Yeah, we lost a game to Algeria in which we should at least have got a point.
We should have been
At the
3-0
very
at
least.
halftime. Yeah.
Yeah.
Then Mozambique away, when we lost 3-1, I mean, whatever Watenga was trying to do in goal, we shall never know.
I know.
I think there are some of the decisions which prompted the recall of Dennis Onyango because we were very poor. I mean, some these penalties, at the end of the day, these small points, these small mistakes add up. And I think Uganda have missed out at least on being among the 4 best runners-ups because of
those
of
small
those
things.
small things.
Yeah,
But for me, Mark, ultimately, I look back at the entire campaign with a bit of excitement and optimism because going into AFCON, I think there is a unit which Paul Put is going to call upon in that very difficult group against Nigeria and Tunisia and Tanzania.
Absolutely, yeah, I agree. We have a solid foundation of a team now to actually do the job in AFCON. I think the road to the World Cup was always going to be difficult, the way it was done, the way Africa was grouped with the giants in each one of the 9 groups. You were always fighting for second. And on the Cape Verde have managed to do that upset. You can understand why. And so that meant that we were fighting for second place and best second. And after that, the journey, like we've explained, is already very long. But when Mark talks about us looking in good stead for Morocco 2025, and then ultimately the AFCON that we host here 2 years later, that's where the strength is. It's because our goalkeeping department is solid. I just hope that that injury to Salim Jamal is not a lengthy one. But what it has done, of course, is open the door to Dennis Onyango to come back into goal at 40. He has got history to make. We have been on this show before.
The good thing with goalkeepers is, we've seen some of the greatest goalkeepers keep goal at 40. Dinozoff won the World Cup at 40.
Yeah.
We saw Edwin van der Sar, you signed for United at 35 and put in some of the greatest performances.
Toldo.
Yeah.
We've seen these guys,
Yeah.
they last long.
Yeah, typically goalkeepers do last long because once you keep yourself in the right condition and you're dedicated, you're going to thrive. Unlike outfield players who've got to do a lot of running out there.
Yeah, Gigi Buffon and all. We've got the general goalkeepers who kept, Peter Shilton. They kept goal and into their 40s and they were still okay.
Yeah, Jose Luis Chilavat, the Paraguayan.
David Seaman, I think, got almost to 40 as well.
Yeah.
But anyway, so it opens the door for him and he can go out there and make history. But he knows that he has got good backup. And if Salim Jamal heals between now and December, Put has already shown that he will prefer him, that Jamal will actually go into goal as number 1.
Yeah.
And then, of course, there's Nafian Alionzi, and you can always call on all of them, any one of the goalkeepers. Our defense, we've talked about it endlessly here. We are in very good stead. Yesterday, since that back four was put together, 4 qualifiers ago, yesterday was last night was their toughest test against Algeria.
And they did well.
And they still did well under those circumstances. Because they were under constant pressure from Amoura and Riyad Mahrez.
Yes.
Amoura actually has been the top scorer overall in the entire campaign. So he only got his goals against us from penalties. So it's not like he scored from open play.
Actually, looking back, Mark, Uganda had 1 or 2 moments where we could have punished Algeria to go 2-0 up.
Oh, yes.
It would have been a lot different.
We should have, Between Rogers Mato
Well, we
and
had
Alan
the
Okello,
chance.
one of them had a chance to
take us 2-0 up. Once we scored at them, when you're
I'd have
playing
loved the Okello goal especially because it was against Algeria, in Algeria, where he played in the league and all. And it was a beautiful move from him, the stop-start, which no defender has made.
So when you're playing a team which is
for.
superior, you want to take your chances because when they get theirs, they're going to punish you.
Yeah, because if we had taken a 2-0 lead, you wonder if they'd have had too much fighting.
It's a different ball game.
Yes,
a different ball game.
Yeah, but I still love, the spirit of the fans were in their park and they were supporting the team to the end. They still wanted to win. But, so when you talk about that, so we are good in goalkeeping, we are good at the back with Jordan Obita and Caprodosi and Sibik and Aziz Kayondo. That's as good a back four as the Uganda Cranes have had for a long time, a very long time. I can only date back to the Hasule days. Maybe a bit with Ibra Sekaja and Andy. We've not had a defense that good, a back four in entirety as we do now. When I say date back, I can only talk about, say, when we would have either Kabgon Kemba in the central defense and Hasule at right back and Moses Mugalo at left, that kind of thing. We haven't had as solid a back four as then.
Richard Mugalu.
Yeah, Richard Mugalu, of course. That's why guys here talk about, and all of those guys, they could play out of defense, they could be solid when they wanted to, and yesterday Obita and Caprodosi showed that if they have to fight, they will. Because the previous games they had been comfortable just playing it out against Mozambique and Somalia and even Botswana. This one they had to tackle.
There's something else I liked, Mark, about the attitude of the national team, the Cranes. They exhibited a certain fight which I hadn't seen in Uganda. They were physical, they were confrontational, they were standing in the face of the ref.
Yes, yeah.
I mean, they were fighting like that. Their lives depend on it, and this is what it takes to build that kind of siege mentality. And I loved it. I mean, even for these guys who just joined the team, you know, the Civics and the arbiters, they played like their lives depended on that result, and they were contesting decisions. They were shouting at refs. I mean, I want to see that in my team.
Yeah, actually, I think it's a very good one.
Going to AFCON, at least they're together and they know that when they bring on that shirt,
but they also
you have to live at 200%.
Yeah, they're also not intimidated by the stage.
No,
which is why some of
not.
our players who play out of the domestic league might have a problem standing in the face of a ref in front of 60,000 Algerians against an Algerian team, because we have our inferiority complexes against North Africans anyway. But this guy, I mean, Civic, Jordan Obeta, Capadosi, they don't care about that. And now the guys who play with them, I mean, Aziz Kayondo was in the ref's ear.
Yeah.
Because he plays,
actually, he came close. He should have gotten a booking.
He almost got his
I think he insulted the ref, actually.
Yeah,
he plays under a lot of pressure in the Czech Republic, and this is it's a child's play. So I mean, and he played throughout with the yellow against a very tough opponent.
A few years ago, Mark, when Nosic was playing in Serbia, and he said that I've played in the Partizan and what's that derby?
Red Star.
Partizan and Red Star.
Yeah,
and you're playing before 70,000 fans who are cheering. The ultras, they have flares in the pitch. They're drumming. They're screaming.
And some of them are even racist.
And they're racist. So he says, coming here, I cannot be intimidated by anything.
Yeah.
I've experienced the worst of it. So,
absolutely, yeah.
So we have
that now in our team.
We have that now in our team.
And so I liked that, that we have a solid defense going into AFCON. We have the return of Awucho to the fold and also to form means that we have a solid base for the midfield. On which to pick. There are so many options around Awucho.
And some options didn't even travel to Algeria, Mark.
Yeah, some didn't travel, others have not been used. I mean, the Bobosis and Chechikandas have not been used at all. And then...
I mean, and that's why it was very good to have Chan.
Then the Watambalas,
I have the Watambalas
not even travel. Semagala went, but Watambala and Joel didn't go. We have options there. And then, the one thing, of course, I'd like, because that's the preferred partnership that Put has. The one thing I'd like is for maybe between now and December, for Kenneth Semakula to improve the part of his usefulness on the ball, because he does a lot of work in midfield alongside Awucho, covering ground and everything. But I'd like for him to be more useful on the ball, because in Morocco, we're going to need to be able to play out of that midfield with the ball in tight situations and a lot of pressure. So I'd like to see him be more useful there. But the partnership for the three of them is with Alan Okello. And then, of course, we know that Okello has backup in Travis Mtiaba, who's always an able deputy, more than able deputy. That front three, Mark has just talked about the Mukwala goal. It holds us in good stead, because the attributes he has, especially because of his pace and his non-stop running, it means that he has to be our shoe-in. Him and Semugabi, because what Semugabi gives the team is the tireless legs. And the tireless legs get rewarded, because Semugabi is getting goals not because he's very prolific, but because he just won't stop running. So he finds himself in positions and puts away. Actually, yesterday, even he could have given us a second goal. You remember that one that he missed. But, so you have him, and then, of course, you have Mato. Again, so you have a front three with Mato and Semugabi and Mukwala, of guys who will run all day. That will hold us in good stead there. What I would have loved, Mark, which I didn't get, and I said a few things about it before, is I don't think that Port gave Uche Ikpeachu, Mubiru, enough time to show Ugandans what he has got. He's big, he's strong. There's a few question marks about his first touch. I thought that it was a bit dodgy.
No, there are no question marks. He has a dodgy first touch.
Dodgy first touch. I thought, okay. But you see, he needed more time. A guy like that, especially because he was playing with guys he hadn't played with for a long time. Most of the rest of the team have actually now played enough together. Even Civic now can say, I've played 270 minutes.
Yeah, and it's a lot easier, Mark.
He's the one who has not fitted in because he just doesn't
It's
get
a lot
minutes.
easier to slot in seamlessly when you're a defender
Yes,
as opposed to a striker,
to a striker.
because people must understand your movement. People might understand what your strength is. How can you play with back to goal? How are you? For a defender, it's
I know. But
most
back also, this one helped.
when I look at him, I mean, he's huge. It's quite
Big
big.
guy. We haven't had a striker like that in
So-
a very long time.
It is. I don't think in the history of the game of football, there's been a player who's been that huge and prolific. Typically, they're role players anywhere in the world. I mean, Jan Kola, they have their attributes, and they're a nightmare for defenders, but they're never prolific.
Castellan.
Castanyanka, I think a guy like him,
Rashid Yekini was prolific, though.
a guy like him, Yakini was. I mean, Yakini was huge, but he was very fast.
Yeah, he was fast for a big guy.
Yeah, for a big guy,
he was
it was very explosive. For me, he's a guy who would be sort of a role player.
Yeah.
Who's going to
a role player, but because you need that backup,
Yes.
you need to give him more minutes to
Yes.
gel with that team and
Yes.
to prove it.
And yesterday was maybe the ideal game.
Yeah, you
because
play him.
Unlike Mark, I didn't think we had any chance to go to the World
To
Cup.
qualify,
I thought
yeah.
that was the time to play him.
No, but play him for 30 minutes, not the last 5.
Yeah.
At least
Yeah.
you can pull off Mukwala after Mukwala runs himself into the ground and sometimes really gets tired.
Yeah.
So play him 30 minutes. He could have, how easy it was to bed in Toby Sibik was that full debut was actually against Somalia.
Against Somalia.
That was the day that
That was the day should have.
Mubiru could have played as well.
yeah.
That's what I mean. But never mind.
And we had chances against Somalia.
We did.
Which we didn't
did.
bury,
And
yeah.
Mukwala missed them.
Mukwala
anyway.
missed, yeah.
So, but anyway, Paul, before you leave it, what I'd wanted to do, because I love doing these things, what I'd wanted to do is to summarize the look of that World Cup table
Exactly,
so that
because
people understand how we are out. Because sometimes we take these things for granted, but we need to be on record. So what happened is 9 slots, Africa, taken by Cape Verde, the biggest surprise. I mean, these guys, they knocked Cameroon out of the World Cup.
Actually, I wanted to
beating,
know which team is also coming, strongest.
So no,
far,
I'll
across
tell
Africa.
you. No, Africa. The North Africans are strongest representation under the circumstances.
Yeah.
Because Morocco, now respected in world football. What
Yes.
they've done over the last 5-6 years.
Yes.
So it's Morocco, it's Egypt, Tunisia, Algeria. They're looking good.
I always fancied all of them, apart from Libya. To qualify.
Apart from Libya to qualify, they
Yes,
all did. So
they
the
all
4
did,
did.
yeah.
Then from West Africa, you had Senegal and Ivory Coast and
Yes,
Ghana.
and Ghana,
Those
yes.
3. And all of those can, because Senegal have reached a quarterfinal before.
Yes.
Ivory Coast and Ghana have reached a quarterfinal before as well
Yes.
at the World Cup. That's
Yes.
2020 in South Africa.
Yes.
Senegal was 2002.
Yes. And Ivory Coast have been at the World Cup before.
Yeah, they've been there before.
2006,
Wow.
yes.
Yeah, so they can shake it up a bit. And then those 3. So the surprises are Cape Verde because they haven't been there before. Big thing, man. It was a big thing in there.
I think, Mark, if I had to be honest, the only surprise is Cape Verde.
Cape Verde, yeah, because
Because
South Africa have been to the World Cup so many
World Cup,
times.
yeah.
South Africa is the last one
Yeah.
of the 9.
Yeah.
South Africa have been to the World Cup several times.
And the reason why Cape Verde is actually a surprise
Yeah.
is not so much Cape Verde qualifying, like the team that they beat to the qualification slot.
Cameroon, yeah.
The Africa's
You know, I loved Africa's whatever.
perennial World Cup
Perennial World Cup
representative.
qualifiers. Yeah, I love the beat back in their last qualifier at home because they knew it did not matter at all. Every
Yes.
goal they scored,
Yes.
guys were stripping their shirts off, running into the crowd,
Yes.
getting booked because the yellows are not going to the World Cup anyway. So they didn't care.
So let me tell you a story, Mark, about Cape Verde. So Uganda, the first AFCON Uganda qualified for
Yeah.
in 2017. That
First
was
after a long
in,
time, you
in
mean?
Praia.
Yeah.
The goal was scored by Geoffrey Seronkuma.
Yes.
So I have a couple of friends who are in Praia for that game. Uganda won it 1-0. It was difficult getting to Cape Verde because I think there are 2 flights every week of either Dakar or Gambia, and if you miss it, you have to wait for the next week. So players traveled in batches, and anyway, it was
You
a
might get to
complex
Cape Verde
trip.
faster if you flew to Portugal.
Yes, if you go to Portugal.
I'm sure there's a
But
flight
if you
every
go-
day
if
from
you go-
Lisbon.
If you go through Africa,
Those
through
guys are
Africa, there
actually
2 flights a week.
Portuguese, yeah.
They're Portuguese, yeah. So, so he told me a story, and that they were in the stadium, but it was very, very difficult for him to watch the match because actually he confesses that he missed the goal of Stella Nkrumah. Because he says that Cape Verde has the most beautiful women in Africa. So he was all over watching the terraces and twisting his head left, right, center, and he missed Stella Nkrumah's goal. So
Those Portuguese Africans.
you can see why Maxwell is happy for Cape Verde to go
Those
to the World
Portuguese
Cup.
Africans, I think they got the best of both worlds. Whatever mix it is, their complexions, the aesthetics of Cape Verde women in the stands is just next level. And yeah, I can understand how that your friend lost concentration. And
I can see Maxwell has lost concentration as well.
The cameramen of the TVs in Africa, I think it's not lost on them. Because they keep swinging. The cameraman kept swinging. But anyway, never mind. That was there. So the Cape Verde guys qualify.
But they're a good footballing team.
Yeah.
They're a very good team.
footballing
Very good team.
They're good sporting country.
They're good sporting country.
Their basketball is up there as well.
Up there, so they're not going to the World Cup to make numbers.
Yeah, no, so this is how we missed out. So those 9 I've explained have gone.
Yeah.
So we needed 4 of the second best teams to go into a playoff. And that's the second place thing we're fighting for. We ended up finishing 8th out of 9 second place teams. This is why. Because Morocco's group had Eritrea withdraw during the World Cup qualifiers, their group had only 5 teams, where Oboles had 6. So what happened is, CAF and FIFA decided that they were going to deduct the points from the bottom place that every second team acquired from the bottom team would be deducted so that we were level. All the groups were level. So Uganda lost 6 points they had got by beating Somalia home and away, the last team in our group. So many teams in the other groups lost them. And a team like Nigeria, which had played poor against bottom sides earlier in the qualifiers, then jumped into contention for second slot where they had not been.
So let me put it
going into the last
this
qualifiers,
way.
Yeah.
Let's assume Mozambique had been the bottom place team.
Yes.
So Uganda was going to benefit.
Because we'd lost one of the games to
one of the
them.
games
Yeah,
Mozambique.
yeah.
So it would have been higher up.
Higher up, yeah.
in the second
So what
place
happened is that
standings.
we got deducted 6 points. That's why we ended on 12, having accumulated 18. That's why we really needed to beat Algeria. Because what happened is that now the 4 places have been taken in that order by Gabon, DR Congo, Cameroon, and Nigeria. Those are the 4 teams which are going to go into the playoffs. First against 4th, that's Gabon against Nigeria. Second against DR Congo against Cameroon. Now and Cameroon and Nigeria finished on 15 after that mathematics. They only beat into the top 4, Burkina Faso and Niger on goal difference.
Wow.
You see how goals matter because Burkina Faso and Niger also finished on 15. So that's how we ended up second from bottom and we're out.
But that is half the story, Mark. There's a lot more beyond the playoffs because Gabon is going to play Nigeria and Cameroon will play DRC.
Yes.
And then the winner there will meet in a final. And the team which wins that playoff of the 4 first best placed teams has got to compete in a 6-country playoff.
Yeah. Intercontinental or interconfederation, if you like.
It's going to be
It's
complex.
crazy because the teams that
It's
are
crazy.
that are coming into those playoffs. I see, for example, in Asia, the 8 teams have been. I'll solve this very quickly. The 8 slots have been taken. 4 from the Middle East: Jordan, Qatar, Saudi Arabia, and Iran. And then Japan and South Korea and Uzbekistan from the other side, and then Australia. The 8 have been taken. So the teams in the playoffs include the United Arab Emirates. I don't know if one of the African countries might fancy themselves against that.
Yes.
But from South America, Argentina, Ecuador, Colombia,
Brazil.
Uruguay, Brazil, and Paraguay took the 6 places.
Yes.
So Bolivia are the ones in the playoff. That's a tough one.
Very tough one.
Then in Europe, in Europe only England has so far qualified proper, but we know that the usual suspects will be there. Germany, Spain, France, Belgium, they'll be there.
The shocker is Sweden.
Yeah.
The shocker is Sweden.
The problem is
with Isak and Gyökeres, and they're doing blanks.
and Anthony Elanga. Those guys might end up in a playoff.
Yeah.
Because what happens in Europe is that if you fail in the World Cup group, there's a second round for them to go to, like the one we have. But teams which did well in the Nations League have an advantage of getting into that playoff. Now, Sweden are being beaten in the qualifiers, but they played well in the Nations League. So you're bound to meet an Isak and Gyökeres and Elanga somewhere if you're in Nigeria or Gabon, if you're in DR Congo or Cameroon. So it's that tough. and we were never going to go there. So let's concentrate on our Nations Cup, let's
Yeah.
go on our 2 AFCONs, and qualification for the next World Cup. Because we, by the way, remember we have an under 17 team going to the World Cup. So we have a conveyor belt of talent coming.
Mark, are you, before we leave the World Cup, are you a fan of this 48 team FIFA World Cup? I'm not.
Not at all. I think the World Cup has been blotted out of context, giving it 48 teams. But what will make up for it is, one, there are so many now Cinderella stories. And I think that's the beauty of the World Cup in sometimes, yeah. Being a Brazil or a Germany at the World Cup all the time, or Italy or Argentina, we get used to this. But there are guys countries, nations which want to write their story, like Cape Verde are going to do. So, I mean, like Iran once did. North Korea played.
Mark is talking about Cape Verde because I know that when the World Cup draw is done in Washington, in DC,
Nice.
Mark is going to book his hotel in the city where Cape Verde are going to be based.
No, Mark, they'll
whether
be-
Atlanta or Dallas. I know, Mark.
Mark, there are so many.
Or Kansas.
There are so many nations around the world that are bringing some very beautiful people to the World Cup. So wherever you go, but Paul, what I was saying is that so you can the Cinderella stories make up for blotting the World Cup. So you forgive FIFA a little bit for that. But two, of course, they wanted to establish the global dominance properly as a federation, because there are so many small power centers developing up everywhere. That's one. Two, the World Cup being spread over 3 countries makes it accommodatable. If there are 48 countries to go into one country, I mean, you need visitors in your country, but then sometimes it's because too much.
Yeah.
Because
I mean, FIFA going to make more money. The challenge with it, Mark.
USA is so big, and then Canada is so big, and then Mexico is so big. You
Mark,
have 3 North
Mark, we were
American-
in South
North
Africa
American
together.
countries that were big, yeah.
We were in South Africa together from start to finish. We went to Durban, we went to Pretoria, we went to Johannesburg, we went to Qatar. The last World Cup
Yeah.
was a one-city World Cup.
Yeah,
because
city.
Qatar is Wakiso and Kampala, and that's
Yes,
Qatar. You
yeah,
finished
yeah.
it.
Yes.
So it was the cheapest World Cup, actually, because you could access all the places. Now, the US, in Mexico, so you have games in Mexico City, the capital,
Yeah.
and you have games in Monterrey,
Monterrey,
and
yeah.
Guadalajara.
Yeah.
The distance from Mexico City to Monterrey is almost 1,000 kilometers.
I
distance-
think actually
the distance
LA to Monterrey is shorter than
Yes, yes.
Monterrey to Mexico
Yes,
City in the same
and
country.
we're just discussing Mexico, because the distance from Mexico City to Guadalajara is 600 kilometers. Now, I haven't mentioned Canada. There are games in Vancouver. There are games in...
In Toronto, is it?
And then you talk about the
the
US.
US, yeah.
The US is so vast. You cannot watch games in
Atlanta and in
San
LA
Diego,
and in
San
Miami.
Francisco, and then you go to
Miami.
Philadelphia. So it's going to be very, very costly for every fan who
wants
thinks-
to go up and down.
wants to go up and down. So it's a lot different from the other previous World Cups. But of course, it works for FIFA, and it works. It gives opportunities to some countries to go to the World Cup.
Yeah,
In the
good
old,
thing-
in the old format, you can be sure that Cape Verde will not be going for the World Cup.
No, they wouldn't.
They wouldn't. It was going to be a lot harder, even for South Africa.
Because we had 5 slots.
Yes.
And that was after we gained
Yes,
2 more
two
after
more.
a long time.
We had 5 slots. So
Yeah.
in that sense, maybe other countries will be happy to be
They
part
will
of
be.
the
But
current
Mark,
format.
the infrastructure in North America, as Canada, USA, and Mexico, will make it a little easier to get around over those big distances than it would be in other parts of the world. Only problem I've got, like you say, is cost.
Yes, obviously.
All right, thank you, gentlemen. And you know what happens when you're given the microphones? My goodness.